Hi everyone, my name is Karishma Chabria. I am the director of Get Skill Training Solutions and Get Crown Pageant Coaching Academy. I have been in the training industry for over 18 years. I started my career with hospitality, then moved into voice and accent training, soft skills training, and then became a behavioral expert. I have been running my own training company since 2007 and I work across clients through Middle East, Africa, Australia, US, UK, and of course a lot in Asia as well. I have been a part of ISABS as their professional development member for almost 5 years now, and I will be finishing my internship with them this year. I have been working on individual coaching, group coaching, and working with big groups as well. Violent communication, a concept that was founded by Marshall Rosenberg. It's also often called the language of life. Wonder why, isn't it? Well, Marshall Rosenberg says that humans were born with a language of compassion, and somehow in the midst of growing up we lost it. Well, we've been all taught language, we've been taught speech, we've been taught how to say questions, how to say statements, and somehow no one ever taught us the importance of what is non-violent communication. Non-violent communication, as the word states, non-violent, meaning anything that is not violent, that is not hurtful or painful to anybody, yet impactful and ends up delivering a message effectively. Not just deliver a message, but goes way deep into satisfying a connection. The core objective of coming up with NVC, non-violent communication, is to develop more human connect. It has been used by people in the war zones, it's been used by doctors, by psychotherapists, by students, by homemakers, by absolutely anybody who wants to develop real human connections. It's a fairly simple process. Yes, it will definitely sound simpler than it will be to actually apply it. Very simply because ourselves, we have not been conditioned well enough for NVC. It takes time, it takes practice, but it is definitely doable. So I'm going to simplify this process for this video in a very short and a brief way. To begin with, I'm going to say a few statements. Let's see how you feel about them. And we've all heard them from our childhood. Statement number 1, get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. Statement number 2, how dumb are you? Option number 3, you don't love me. You just take me for granted. Option number 4, do I even matter to you? Why would you do this to me? So they sound pretty familiar, isn't it? We've been using it all our lives in some form or the other. But if you carefully listen to the statements, they are either bringing out guilt, shame, fear, or anger in the other person. So if you tell somebody, you don't love me, you take me for granted, what are you really doing? Are you sharing with the person what your needs are? How are you really feeling? Or are you just expecting them to do something for you? And yes, they might, but the way they will do it will not develop a connection. They will do it only to resent you in the future for you making them do it. Employee goes into the meeting room and the boss happens to be leading the meeting. Every single time this employee has a suggestion, has an idea, he gets shot down by the boss and often tells the boss nothing. He sulks, or he speaks about it to his colleagues and ends up only gossiping and wasting more energy. Or, in the long run, will completely get dissatisfied by his job and resign. So tell me here, what is happening? Is this communication? Is this violent communication or non-violent communication? Here the employee is being violent to himself by not addressing what he really means, which means he is going to carry this baggage for the rest of his life and keep moving forward. So NVC says there are 4 ways to do this, 4 easy steps to do this. Step number 1, they are also called the 4 components of NVC. Step number 1, observe what is happening. By observe, I mean look and see what's going on around you. Look at it as a video camera. For example, if you see the boss cutting down, don't say the boss cuts me down because he does not like me. Now that's a judgment. Observation would be anything a video camera would pick up without any judgments. So for example, a real observation here would be, while I said the first 2 words, the boss interrupted me and started talking to somebody else. What was his intention? How did he make you feel? Does not come in this step. This is purely just observation. Step number 2 is feeling. When this happened, how did you feel? So a wrong way to put a feeling would be, I feel he does not like me. Now every time you make a feeling statement which has a pronoun of somebody else, it's not a feeling, it's a thought. I feel I am good for nothing. Again, another pronoun, I, which says you're good for nothing. Here, however, a real feeling would be, I felt insulted, I felt humiliated, I felt disrespected, I felt unheard, I felt unseen. Now these are the feelings I'm talking about. So number 1, observe what really happened, the data. Option number 2, or rather step number 2 is feeling. What did you really feel? Moving on to step number 3, needs. So like the first 2 steps, this again has to be a very deep-rooted need. We've always understood need as materialistic. So for example, I need more money, I need a bigger house, I need coffee, I need to sit, I need to stand. Now when you say these needs, they are purely physical action needs. But the needs that I'm talking about here are the need that you truly feel. So I need the money for what? Because I have a need for power. I need a bigger house. Why? Because I have a need to live a luxurious life. Now that's the need I'm talking about. So while say the employee here is expressing to the boss that he has a need to feel, when he said that he was feeling unappreciated, unheard or unseen, here the need is to express. The need is to be heard. So if I have to sum up the first 3 steps, say for example, sir, I have noticed you cut me off in the first 2 steps. This makes me feel unheard, unrespected and also humiliated. However, I do have a very deep need to express myself. I have a need to be heard. I have a need to state my ideas. When you say this, the entire game changes, doesn't it? However, be careful of one mistake here. When you end up saying that I have a need to express, I have a need to share what I feel to you, I have a need to feel appreciated by you, what are you doing when you're putting that by you to you? You are putting this person into full obligation of having to listen to you. You're going back to violent communication of creating guilt, shame, anger, fear, anxiety. Okay, so make sure you stick to what you need. So that covers our first 3 steps: observe, feel, need. Now step 4 is the most crucial step in the process of NVC. The core objective of NVC, like I said, is all about building a connection. Meaning, what is it that you need that can make the world more beautiful for you? Which can make you happier, which can make your connection more deeper, more authentic, more intimate. So here, your step number 4 is request. Okay? Now, when I say request, please remember it's not a demand, it is a request. So in this case, a request would be, would you be willing to at least hear me out in meetings? That's a request. Because only when I feel heard, I might start feeling different about myself, about the company, about the boss. Things suddenly are more beautiful and wonderful for me, isn't it? So to summarize, the 4 parts of NVC are: number 1, a concrete observation. Number 2, how do I feel in relation to this observation? Number 3, my need that needs to be fulfilled, which is deep-rooted. Number 4, my request, which can make my situation more wonderful, my relationship even better. What we discussed now is one-way non-violent communication. That means, what do I need to do to fulfill my own feelings and needs? At the same time, NVC also needs to be the other way around. But the good news here is that NVC says that you can practice NVC without your partner or whoever you're discussing this with, without actually with them practicing NVC. So you could start doing this on your own by 1, stating what you feel and need. Step number 2 here is to also hear what the other person is saying and not just hear their words. Try and hear their needs, try and hear their emotion. So if I feel that if my best friend is having a confrontation with me, instead of getting back into a word game or a verbal argument, I would rather say, I hear you are upset with me. Would you like to share what's really making you upset? And that's when you can start with, I have observed that especially when you come to meet me, you feel very restless. What's going on with you? Is there something that's upsetting you? Is there something that's bothering you? And that could be a beginning to dealing them or taking them through the NVC process. So remember, 4 components of NVC which are very, very important. There are 2 parts of NVC as well, which is these 4 components must be absolutely honest. And the second and the most important part of NVC is the word empathy, consideration. Extremely important to also feel what the other person is feeling. Attune your needs to what's really going on for me. What's really going on for somebody else? What's really going on for the group I am in? Sense more. This will build your senses, make you more empathetic. And we all know that the world needs more of us and more people who do NVC and more people who indulge, practice, propagate non-violent communication, because it can go a long, long way into making this place a very beautiful place to be in. I hope you've enjoyed the concept of NVC, and I hope you will practice it in some form or the other, and also look up more information on non-violent communication, because there is so much more to learn on this topic, and I'm sure each one of us can be a work in progress. I'd like to end my module with a short story which is very dear to my heart. So there was a village and there were 2 saints in that village. One of the saints was known to be very truthful, was known to be authentic, was known to be somebody everybody believed in because he had very clear visions or could predict well. And there was another saint who happened to be in some kind of competition with this saint and was trying to build his authenticity. So he decides to prove this saint who's everybody believes in wrong. He says, what I'm going to do is, when the saint today comes in front of the village to deal with their problems or talk to them, I'm going to carry a pigeon in my hand. Once I carry the pigeon, I'm going to keep the pigeon at the back and I'm going to ask the saint a question. Is the pigeon dead or alive? If the saint says the pigeon is dead, I will let the pigeon fly and prove him wrong. If the saint says that he is alive, I am going to twist the neck of the pigeon and kill it and again prove him wrong. So with this thought, he goes to the village and goes to the saint and takes the pigeon like he planned. He asks the saint, what is it in my hand? And the saint says, it's a bird. Saying, so tell me, saint, is this bird alive or dead? Guess what the saint's reply was? The saint says, the pigeon is in your hand. You decide what you want to do with it. And just like that, this knowledge that I have shared with you today is in your hand. And you've got to decide what you want to really do with it. Do you want to let it fly with you, carry it forward, spread it across the world, make this place a much better place to live in, build more deeper, authentic human connections which we were born to make? Or kill the information as good to hear and forget about it and go back to our lives just the way we were? Well, for me, I hope you really choose to keep this bird alive. Let it fly, let it have wings, and you could fly with it. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm honored. Yet again, signing off, this is Karishma Chabria. Thank you. Bye-bye.